everybody. Greetings and welcome to Conflict Radio. Today is November 25th, 2024. We've got Toni Rodrigues with us. This is a pre-record, something new we've been doing on our YouTube channel to make sure everything's good and ready to go before we make things live. That way YouTube can kind of maybe not shadow ban us so much. And Toni is a 20-year tour experiencer, author of the autobiography Ceres Colony Cavalier and its sequel, Project Starmaker. And Toni, welcome to Conflict Radio. How are you?
Hey, man, Michael. It's great to be here. I'm good. I'm doing good.
It's
Just finished up my travels just a few days ago. Returned home for the first time in a long time. I got nowhere to be for a few months, so it's really nice.
also you're nesting for the winter. I think that's.
Yeah, I hope so. So I did a lot of live shows, a lot of travel this year, more than ever. And I mean, I'm proud of that I was invited to speak at the places I was. And just wrapping it up, I got a few things booked up for next year already, and got another book in the works after my third book, Beyond Sight, about remote viewing, and things have been progressing very, very nicely. I'm very happy.
You know, I'm hearing that Danny's going to be having her GSEC conference next year in Nashville. Are you coming to that?
So,
We'll be there.
I hope so. I think so. So
I hope you're there. I really hope you're. I hope you're there. I hope we're both invited and we don't have to pay to go. You know, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
But if I have to pay to
yeah.
go, I'll
Maybe I
pay to
can
go.
tag
I will
along
be there.
if Danny is really good to me, and
I'm sure you'll be there.
I got to tell you, she's amazing. But GSIC is a big to do, and I understand that what's important is not the show. What's important is disclosing relevant information. And
Yeah.
should the day ever come where my testimony, you know what I mean, like doesn't go, and she has somebody there, like I would just still cheer them on and still want to go. There's still conferences I want to go and just be part of. I think Danny's going to have me, and I'm pretty sure she will. She says she's always going to have me, but we're on a mission here, and it's not about me, and it's not about attention, right? So we're trying to bring knowledge that's being hidden from everybody to everybody. And so my testimony is one. I got the books out. I'm one of the people that GSIC, the crowd is a family to me. The Doc and JP and Elena and John Charles and Melanie, like we're a family unit, and I love those people, all of them. And Danny, and I love them to death. So I will always be available for a GSIC show, put it that way, and I will always promote it. So
Yeah.
GSIC is the cream of the crop for shows.
Conflict Radio is definitely going to be there regardless. Hopefully, we get a press pass or something. It can meander around in there, but we're definitely going regardless, whether we have to pay to go or not. We're going to be there. So let's get into some of this remote viewing that you've been talking about. We get the whole. We've already covered your secret space adventures to a couple degrees. We've done a couple shows on that. I do want to dive into remote viewing. We've got some really interesting stuff to talk about. Now, remote viewing underground bases, if it's okay with you, I'd like to play this. I think it's 2 minutes long, your video from your page on remote viewing, just to give an idea of what you guys do, if that's okay with you.
Sure. Roll the tape.
All right. So let's play this, and we'll talk about it after.
So there's something different going on here. There's a story to this. There's people back and forth. There's vehicles. Oh, this feels like the subject matter of what's going on here. These people are aware of this. She's directing traffic here, and she's greeting them. She's got blonde hair for late nighttime. They're going over there, and they're coming in here. They're going this way. And then they're going to go this way.
Do you want to know what it is?
Sure. Yeah, let's do the reveal.
All right, cool. So here's the target. Who was flying above the crowd of people assembled with Elena Danaan, September 27th, 24, GSIC conference, Denver, Colorado.
Dang.
Identify the beings and their intentions.
Oh, shoot. Oh, that was a big black thing, like oh my God. and they were helping out. They were pulling into a base. It's a base. It's a black bunker where the triangle flew out, and that's Danny. The first thing I saw was the Westin. That's where it was, and this was where everybody was. This was the flyby. Look, this is where they came from. Then it's like I got a river area and a silo where it was raining. There's the black bunker. So this is really where the triangle shape came from, and I got it. I got over here was a triangle.
Do you think this group of people around the racetrack was all the people gathered watching the event?
Yes. Okay. Yep. This was the event that they were flying over. There's the Westin, and right here is where it was. There was an amphitheater. It was like this, and it was a downhill. It was a hill. And Danny guys were standing here, and we were standing right here, and they flew this way. That was the flyby. Wow, dude.
All right, and the link to that is gonna be down in the description box below, everybody. So, is it
Thanks
still
for
going?
showing that. It was,
There we go. I've made that go
yeah,
away.
thanks for showing that. That was a blind target. So it turned out to be a beacon remote viewing where I was actually, so that was a unique circumstance for a remote viewer because I had actually beaconed the event to myself in the future. I was there at the flyby. I was there in the amphitheater. And in the future, a month or two later, after I got back, one of my targeters, Adrian, created this as the target and then fed it to me. So I was actually beaconing my own experience. I had no idea. And the data came through, I don't want to say differently, but I had a great deal of data. Once I started rolling and getting some things, that particular remote viewing was pretty good stuff. But it was a beacon. So the original remote viewing technique, one of the very first things that they were doing remote viewing was putting somebody at the spot. So at the location, the target location, they would put a person there that the viewer was familiar with, and they'd say, tell us where he's at, describe his environment. And so that's beacon remote viewing, using a beacon. And it just was a weird circumstance where I was the beacon. But the triangle came definitely from where it was raining. And there were some things that are not in that video led me to believe that we looked at the time of the flyby, and I got pouring rain and some other physical features of the area that it came from. And I deduced that it was one of the Elgin Air Force Base in Florida in the Panhandle. So that's where I conclude that the triangle flew out from, that's who that was, the Earth Alliance flyover. So that was kind of neat. That was kind of something that fleshed out from that remote viewing. Please don't kill me, government agencies.
Now, what I really like about it is the virtual reality setup that you have going on there. Can you tell us about that and how that's pretty revolutionary, isn't it?
We weren't even sure if it was going to work. So we were like, man, you're strapping a big machine to your face and having an EM field when EM is the no-no while you're remote viewing. And I got to tell you, the first time that I did a remote view, I got a low score with it. I don't even remember what the target was, but we did it. So we want to do this. This is a new show. So I started a new YouTube channel. There's only a couple of videos on there right now, but we're going to start cranking out one every a couple of weeks here now that I'm home, now that I'm not on the road.
Yeah.
But the idea was that we can do remote viewings and then be in a virtual space. So there's plenty of room to write. And because most of the viewer, everybody, let's face it, we live in a world where nobody lives next to it. We all live far apart. So to fly here, I'm in Sedona, he's in Atlanta, and other people are all over the world. People that are doing remote viewing on my groups, they're from all over the world. Like I started a Saturday group for people in Australia. There's enough people in Australia to do it on Saturdays now. But the idea is we could record it and we could go in there and there's an animation. It's just easier. And we messed with it, and it really is fun. And it's cartoony. Some people are turned off by it, but we're going to crank out some more remote viewings. And I started the YouTube channel is called the Remote Viewing Collective, and it's a new channel. So it's going to be about remote viewing, everything that I'm gathering. my testimony is about the secret space program. And the first stop in my abduction was a remote viewing research program, which I've found a great deal of evidence for, and a great deal of remote viewing techniques from what I remember. But I don't want people that are interested in remote viewing to just think it's all aliens and it goes straight to the secret space program. Like, I'm just trying to separate the two, because I feel that remote viewing is beneficial to everybody, and it doesn't make a political stance or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to kind of separate it from and then, oh, by the way, it's Toni Rodrigues, and here's his website about his secret space program testimony if you're drawn to that. So that's kind of my plan. But
Yeah,
the
and
VR
all of
stuff
the links
is
are
working.
down in the all of the links are down in the description box below, everybody. So definitely check that out.
In fact, I've got to add a link on my website to the Remote Viewing Collective. But like I said, there's only a couple of videos on there right now. We're just getting started with it. I want to put out a show, like a remote viewing interview format show, and just other stuff like that, like the VR session, and let
I
people
thought it
see,
was
because
kind of
there's
cool
a
looking.
real. What's that?
I thought it was kind of cool looking.
Thank you. I do too. I love it in there. It's a
Yeah.
blast to go in there. We do a lot of work in there. I'm working on other programs and shows that are going to come out that are made in VR in a virtual space as well.
All right, let me ask you
God, I
this
forget
real quick. So you're remote viewing an incident that happened in the past. So obviously, time doesn't matter. You can remote view anything. It like time has no meaning with that. Like, can you go back to the crucifixion, say?
time matters. So it does affect. So especially looking into the future, time has there are repercussions. Whenever you view something, you're altering it. So in the past, it's different. It's a different thing. Information naturally travels backwards in time for some reason. That's it's a quantum physics thing. Information travels backwards, and that's how there are many different ways of precognitive ability and clairvoyance into the future. Remote viewing is the phenomenon of having a brainwave sync down to the Planck distance and get out of space-time. So having a brainwave sync with a electrical phenomenon that gets outside of space-time. So it sounds weirder than what it is, but the thing is, it happens quite often. We all do remote viewing in a minute way every day, I believe. I believe people have hunches and intuition that happens to them all the time. You hit that brainwave and you're accessing things, and even when you're dreaming and sleeping. And remote viewing just trains you to get back to that. So if you think about a certain note of a song, if you sing a song in your head and you hit a certain note and it lets you see the future, basically it's kind of like that. So remote viewing is training you to get back to that note in your head, so you can play the note and then do a protocol of what you're seeing. What is it? What is it not? What am I looking at? And I'm throwing a blanket at a lot of stuff here. But in a nutshell, you can look into the past and into the future and through any distance. So distance isn't a factor either. There are other factors that come into play when you look into the future. So right now, Michael, you're staring at your screen, right? I
Yeah.
can see you there. I'm staring at mine. And as you're doing that, your consciousness is, through the double slit experiment, your consciousness is affecting the quantum particles of your screen, just because you're observing them. So we have the
Yeah.
double slit experiment that proves this without a shadow of a doubt. So it's the same when you remote view. So people that are getting, like, if I had somebody remote view you right now, you would get that feeling like somebody's watching you. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you would be aware of it, because their perception is altering the quantum particles that you're made of, or your room is in. So it's the same. Like when when somebody's looking at you from behind you. This is a documented human experience. We all know it. I think girls have a worse problem with it because most of them are pretty, and they don't tend to stare at men the way that men stare at girls. So there's my sexist rant for the evening. However, we're familiar with this phenomenon. It's the same exact thing when you look at the future. So a bunch of remote viewers from the past looking at the basketball game in the future, and all of a sudden the player is like, hey, everybody's looking at me, it's weird, what's going on? And he doesn't take the shot, and it alters the future. So looking into the future and the past can be tricky in that regard. So you can change the future simply by observing.
All right. So let me ask you this. I gave you some coordinates to remote view, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But I did give you some coordinates to remote view. So how do you know if you're remote viewing those coordinates, you're seeing things in real time, or if you're seeing things in the past, or if you're seeing things in the future?
So I default in real time. So most of the time, unless the target is specifically says at this date and time, or
Uh-huh.
if this happens, unless there's a parameter that designates it, I tend to believe that people are remote viewing in real time. So that seems to be most of the time. That being said, it might not be there anymore. Like there are a few factors. It's not unheard of for the viewer to see events in the past around a place, strong energetic events or events that are hidden. And also, when we talk about military places, they have their own remote viewers doing countermeasures too. And they don't
Yeah.
want me to talk about this. Like, this isn't a popular opinion, but it's the truth. Is that the military is way ahead of us in countermeasures and remote viewing. And some places that are highly secure have teams of remote viewers. What's the word? Projecting false targets at the target. So when you remote view it, you see strange things. That's weird. I see a merry-go-round. It's like I see a bunch of jet fighters. There's a UFO, and then there's like a merry-go-round and horses. What's that all about? Because they're projecting false targets into the target area 24/7. So teams of guys working around the clock doing remote viewing targeting projection. So this is the basis probably of countermeasures, and there's probably a lot more to it besides that, but ultimately that works.
Okay. All right. So let's get into a little bit here about the target that I sent you. Now, I got a little bit of a story to tell. I mean, people know that have been listening to this channel know that I've been hunting for the last couple of years now. I have been hunting a supposed UFO military base that's underneath a mountain here in the North Alabama area. I've been hunting that for a couple years. I've known about it. I've talked about it on the show. It's documented. I couldn't tell you what episode it is, but I mean, we've discussed this in the past. And Dr. Michael Salla was talking with JP, and he had mentioned that he was there at the military base in North Alabama underneath Green Mountain. And I sent Dr. Salla a text message immediately after he revealed this information. I said, there's no way this UFO base is under Green Mountain. Absolutely no way. And he messaged me back. He said, okay, why? And I was thinking about how I'm going to, I finally answered him. I think it was the next day I answered him. Disbelief, doubt, unbelievable that it's right in my backyard. I've been looking for this thing for years and years and years, and you're telling me it's right here, like right in my backyard. And I told him, I said, I'm going to send Toni Rodrigues the coordinates, and I didn't tell you what it was. I never told you anything about it. I never said it was Green Mountain. I never said it was a base. I never said anything. All I sent you was the coordinates, and if you can remote view these coordinates, remember that?
Yeah. And I
It
want to
was
say this,
nothing. I
that,
gave you nothing but coordinates.
yeah, that's right. And this isn't something that we do. So I would say this is yours was an exception. You and I had talked, and then your own experiences that we talked about in the last episode. We did a couple shows for Conflict Radio, and things we talked about. You said, "Hey, will you do? I've been wanting to check something out. Can you tell me, if there's anything at these coordinates?" And I don't do those because you never know what somebody's targeting you. It's not fair to the remote viewer to target something and see something bad. So I put this to remote viewers in my groups that are okay with sensitive targets or targets that may be something bad, rated R. Like these are remote viewers I put it to were okay with whatever they saw. As some remote viewers, are not willing or not ready to look at things that may be dark, right? For one, and for two, because of countermeasures, I don't remote view military stuff.
Yeah.
Like I just don't. That's not what I do. I remote view really, really mundane, really, really vanilla targets. You
Yeah,
know,
but to be fair,
just
I never
protect.
told you. I never even told you it was a military. I don't know what it was. It's Green Mountain, Alabama. I mean, I have no idea. It was military or anything. It's just it's a park. It's a park. It's a state park here in Alabama. That's all I gave you coordinates to. And you had no idea what it was, whether it was military or not. But anyway, you did give this to your team. Could you share what you found?
So, and then I want to say this. I want to preface this that the team of remote viewers, and these are all very talented remote viewers, and I gave them a forum, and it was a quickie remote view that they drew up some stuff. I forget the real parameters. It was a couple weeks, I believe, after you gave me the target, because again I was traveling. So I made the target, and it was very simple. Is there anything underground at the location of boom and the coordinates you gave me? So that was my target, and on the back. I had an intention of for the viewer to sense anything beneath the coordinates, if there was anything underground. I think that's what you asked. Is
Yeah,
there
yeah,
anything
I did
underground?
ask if there's anything underground and then just sent you the coordinates. Yep.
So they didn't know that. And I want to say this, that these viewers don't do like their view, all their work that they do, the body of work, we don't get aliens and people underground. Like this isn't, it's not like they always do this in their work. Like these people are pretty accurate. If I do the Roman Colosseum, I get a city of people that are fun and a Roman Colosseum structure drawn, right?
Yeah.
So if I do the park down the street from me in Sedona, I get the desert and rocks, red rocks, and people at a park. Like that's what these people do. This remote viewing session. So the sheer overlap of extraterrestrial influence and actually dark stuff like ritual stuff they got, and underground caves. We got 2 with caves. I only have 3 of them queued up. I think I had a total of 6 people did this remote viewing, and I just didn't dig them up before the show. So I have 3 of them I could share with you if you want to.
Okay. Yeah. Should I show a map of the area first, or should we go into your area first? How do you think we should hit that?
Go ahead. It's up to you. It's fine.
Yeah,
Either way, it's fine.
let me show the map of the area real quick, and that way people can see exactly what I'm talking about. Here we go on Google Maps. Let me share that. Let me minimize this so I can see. Okay, there we go. So, All right, sorry guys. So these are the coordinates I sent you. Green Mountain. I actually sent you the coordinates to this. I put the coordinates right on this lake here. This is the top of Green Mountain. This is Huntsville, Alabama. This is the top of Green Mountain. This is the coordinates I sent you to this lake area, because for some reason I'm thinking if it is an underground base, the best way in and out is probably the lake. That's how they'd be coming in and out of there. So I actually sent you the coordinates to right here, this lake. And here, let me throw over to here. This is a website, Green Mountain Civic League. This is a history of Green Mountain. This is the real history of Green Mountain. Here's a picture of it here. The lake is in the center of it there. I can't zoom this in, so I apologize if anybody can't read this here. But I'm looking for the thing I just had here. For the crap, I had it and now I made it go away. Geology, wildlife. Okay, so now I just give me a second. You know what? While I find that, why don't you go ahead and show us what you've got, and then I'll dig that up for next time.
Share screen. Entire screen. Here we go. So I'm gonna pull this up. There, I'm on the infinity.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. Now,
So this is the first one.
Can you maximize that browser there? So it's there. You go.
And then go up a little bit.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah. That looks great, Tony.
A leader, a biological female. We had
now.
behind
Who is
the
this?
scenes.
What do we got here? Whose report is this?
This is Adrian. So 3 a.m. till 4:44. So target ID Project Alpine. That's what he got for the target ID. It was strange. And I just want to breeze through this so that people, because analytics is a whole remote viewing skill in itself, and I don't want to just throw this out there for everybody to look at and make up what they want out of it. But we got a machine outside, we got a station, a structure, a station. We started to get things, captives in a hooded room, or captives hooded in a room, a female in a white suit, a black suit, Trump something, with a space station that smelled sweet and foul, warm, there was plumbing. But we started to get things like spaceport and Earth mission, planet. So, like I said, again, they didn't have the actual coordinates. They had a random set of an 8-digit number that I gave them to look at. So, okay, and you think, well, all right, Adrian doesn't go into space on his remote viewings very often at all. And so this was, there's like people in cloak and dagger going on here, a robotic of docking outside the galaxy. And, look at this, like somebody being an ET working on somebody. Look at that. Like this was the flash sketch he got, was an ET or an insectoid looking, working on somebody strapped to a machine. Project Alpine, mission to Marsport. Team go, the Alpha team marches on. Look at that. And again, all he had was an 8-digit number. He had no clue on anything was going to be happening here. It happened in the past, but not for us. This is what his hit was. And he zoomed into here, a star point, which could be overlay, interpretive overlay. This was Veronica, steep state of chills, electricity, rumbling, humming, light from the sky, activating special time of your all-stars aligned. Look at this. She got an underground area, a cave or a dome. So again, this is overlapping data when we start to get a dome or a cave shape. A weapon, a ship, a portal. This is the second version of a portal. Again, this is not what comes out of these remote viewers when I remote view mundane targets. They don't talk about ships and portals. This was very unique in that regard. Somebody driving
You're talking
to
about
a
a
place.
Stargate. That's 2 remote
Yes.
viewers that are picking up on some kind of Stargate underneath Green
Yes.
Mountain in Huntsville, Alabama.
Yes. So they don't need the lake to come and go. They're just portaling right in, according to this. So somebody driving up to a place and then rings and teleporting somewhere. Biologicals, it was big, blurry. This got filled out with a speed sheet. Space inside a landscape. Coast, nearby water. There's your water body. With a journey, it feels cold. To look at the date and see what the weather was like on the date there. But an overwhelming flash cuts, abductions, plans, Christmas season or last Christmas, a snake or a sphinx, huge shock waves of change, massive evacuation, worldwide agenda, thousands of people prepped, altered, used, people rising like a rapture, an overwhelming feeling, and continuing a new timeline. Crystal orb is important. I want to come over here. This is Latanya, and she got biological subjects, a group in a circle. Chilly. Again, it was cold. Semi-hard. Feel a cave. Another one. So that's our third cave out of.
Yeah.
We're 3 for 3 on caves. Underground, natural, dark ovalish room, hard stone-like walls. Underground, natural. The energy power waning. Look at here's the same thing. A female biological. This was again the first meeting. The first viewing had a female in white and a male biological in black with people around. Large sphere. This is the storyboard, an ancient writing scroll book. Red robe biological standing by fire. Large sphere, earth flying object. Land natural. A flash sketch was like a mountain or eruption. So when you see volcanoes, it could be fire, it could be a power source, it could be many things that represent a volcano. And then again, she had a natural land with stairs that led down to this room to a cave-like. So we're 3 for 3 on caves. Female, dark hair, brown eyes, slender. Another female subject there. She's the leader of the group, focus of the group, intention, integrity group, time travelers, energy manipulators, plasma-like energy. That's that. So
That's awesome stuff, man. So basically, break down what do you think's going on underneath those coordinates I gave you.
So there's a lot of things that could be taken. So out of those 3 viewings I showed you, there are things that you could cut away. So that you can't take all the data in a remote viewing as verbatim. So it's an abstract. When you do a remote viewing, it's the same as a stick going into the water and it bends. The stick is not bent, but because it's changing a medium, it's the perception is changed. You know what I'm talking about, like a bent stick in water.
Yeah.
So, where something is in water is not where you're seeing it. The light is bent. Remote viewing is the same way. When you're looking outside of time space and then looking back in it again, there's a perturbation. So some of this data, a lot can be cut away. But if I look at the same things that overlapped, the odds of these viewers that live hundreds, if not thousands of miles apart from each other, that got the target at the same time. They had no idea. The target was an 8-digit number in an envelope. It was not coordinates. It wasn't the coordinates or the location that you gave me. It was written on the inside of the envelope. These viewers get things that represent the targets each week. Day in and day out, these viewers are consistent. And they all got the same stuff: a female biological in charge of a group of people in a cave underground with ET technology, with spacefaring portal technology. So that's the takeaway. We were 3 for 3 on that. So, it's never 100% until there's visual confirmation, but I'm very highly inclined to believe that there is a high-tech base there and there's a woman in charge. So, I mean,
All right.
and
now
that's just preliminary. Like I said, I got more remote views, and we just skipped through. You gave me this, and I kind of ran it through the Rolodex. We have a line of people for targets, to do. And I just kind of ran it through. I was on the road and didn't, I wanted to kind of do it myself too, but I didn't. And, but it's overwhelming. You had a group of people in a cave underground with a military type structure with UFOs and portal with links to craft and other things that are outside of the Earth and in the galaxy. One said in the galaxy, but we're seeing portals, underground group of people led by a female. So those things, when you get overlap on that level, it's pretty. I don't want to say it's 100% conclusive. It's pretty conclusive. It's
Okay, now this is
I'd be
interesting.
shocked
Do we have any idea whether or not the female that's in charge under there is a human biologic or a human?
Yeah, I said human biological. The one
Okay. All right.
female, dark hair, skin, brown eyes, slender, business attire, human, travels in space. Let me see the other one. Last, female with official and white suit dress, going into a room with people, hooded, restrained and hooded at the beginning. Space station after an abduction, and then that's
I don't know if the other one mentioned. I think there are 2 that just mentioned the female. So I'm going to add this back to the stage, and I'm going to read this because I can't make it bigger, so you're not going to be able to see it. But the website is there. All you have to do is research Green Mountain history, Huntsville, Alabama. And it says here, in the 1950s, when Redstone Arsenal was first firing up the Missile Development Center, American Machine and Foundry Company began to buy up the mountain. Their plan was to quarry out the inside, sell the rock, then make the hollow mountain into an underground missile plant. Although they and the City Chamber of Commerce used strong-arm tactics to get the mountain residents to sell, a few people held out and refused. And that's why they were still able to build houses up there today. But there's no saying here that they stopped what they were doing here. There's nothing that says. And this company, American Machine and Foundry Company, if you Google that company, they actually specialized in building bowling alleys and monorail systems, which would make sense here. Because if I bring up the Green Mountain map again, let me put this tab on here. You could see where Green Mountain is here. And let's just say they're using this lake here as the entrance for the UFOs. They could easily have some kind of something set up here, out here, or underground here that produces the field to where the residents can't see the ships coming up and down. And if they're doing it at night or during the day, I mean, there's this nature preserve. You can go there, and there's this gazebo and little bridge stuff here. But other than that, there's if there's a like what Michael Salla was saying, some kind of field around here to where it's what's going on. The ships coming up and down out of the water can't be seen by the people here because it just reflects nothingness. And then this park's closed at night. You can't even get in here at nighttime. This is all sealed up. You can't even get in here. It's all fenced off and sealed up. Now, if I zoom out, you can see where the monorail system would come into play. Here's Redstone Arsenal here. So you have Redstone Arsenal right here. This is all Redstone Arsenal. You can see right here where it says Redstone Arsenal. This entire box right here is Redstone Arsenal. All this here. I don't know if you could see
All the
my
way to the
cursor.
river, right?
And it goes all the way down to the river. Yep, the river is the end of, and you can kind of see the lines here of Redstone Arsenal, and it goes all the way to the river. And here's the red mark where Green Mountain is, and this here to the left of Green Mountain is all residential, and this is one highway that comes down here. This is all residential here, but if they hollowed out Green Mountain, it would make sense to have a monorail company put a monorail underneath this area going into Redstone Arsenal, and that's only like a 5-mile stretch. So that's nothing in terms of monorail or putting in a tunnel system that would go from the Redstone Arsenal here underneath the residents over to Green Mountain, and then the UFOs and everything would come up out of the lake. Or, like you said, there's a portal under there, and they don't even need to use the lake. There's just a portal. But so that would mean this whole area is hollowed out and underground here. And then they have a monorail system that connects underneath the residential area over to Redstone Arsenal, which I find fascinating. Why else would they have a monorail company hired to? They built bowling alleys. You know, maybe we ought to start looking to see what's underneath all these bowling alleys that were built by this company in the 40s and the 50s.
Yeah, well, and that's common. What I found is architecture. When you look at these strange monuments that are built that don't make sense, that look really high tech, if you follow the career of the architect, you get other strange monuments as well. So some people are in the know, and some people aren't behind the scenes there. What's interesting is that's the Tennessee River. Doesn't that connect to the Mississippi and then out to the ocean?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and if you look at the map here, I'll go ahead and show you again. The Tennessee River here, this is also where they load up, like Huntsville, Alabama is still a missile, this where they build all our missile defense capabilities are all built here. All the rockets and missiles and everything are built here. They're either built here or they're built over here in Decatur, Alabama, which is right here. These are a lot of the companies that build our missile defense technology all right here on the river. They load it all up on barges and then float it down the river over to the Mississippi, down into the Gulf, where it's loaded up and taken all over the world wherever they need them. It all comes right here from Huntsville,
wow.
Alabama, and that's what they do here. This is a like I like to call it. It's a deep state military industrial complex hub of just weapons right here in Huntsville, Alabama. That's what it is. It's Rocket City. You know, this is where Operation Paperclip took place here. This is where, you know, you're familiar with Operation Paperclip with Werner von Braun and the Nazis. It was all right here.
Huntsville, Alabama.
So
yeah,
it would make sense that, and they were saying that they were doing this in the 50s. Von Braun could have easily set up some kind of portal or something underneath. If you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the same people that were helping them. You know, von Braun famously said that when they asked, "How did you guys get all this technology?" he pointed up and said we had help.
Yeah, he died in 1977 at 65. So that would have been 27 years earlier. He still would have been 30 years old in the 50s when they were building this.
Yeah. Yep. So pretty interesting. So the other thing, I looked back through the remote viewings, seemed to be an interrogation. Like the girl came in and was interrogating people.
Can we bring up the visual of that? And we can get a little bit more in depth to. I mean, we kind of hit it real fast, but
yeah, you know, sure. Let me see. So there we go, into infinity and beyond. So Floating beings or floating water some special time. There was a woman down here, mass. Oh, where did I see it? Your move. So we had losing breath, hard to breathe. So someone was crying. Tired, hurt, interrogation. So somebody being interrogated right here. An interrogation or an activation, a light in the ceiling. So an underground base is where you would do some stuff like this. You know, a crystal or multicolored orb crystal doorway, which sounds like a portal, an weapon, energy weapon, conscious ship, portal, feelings of crying, tingling, and grief.
You said
Travel, losing
a
breath, hard to
conscious
breathe.
ship.
Yes.
So that would be
E
like
weapon,
a
conscious
UFO
ship.
that's biological.
As we're here finding out that many of them are, and certainly not all of them, but many of them have conscious technology in them. For sure, that's how you can't just walk up and steal it.
You know, that's interesting. A reminder to the last episode we just published with Dr. Michael Salla and NASA scientist Shanaz Soni, who's literally works at Marshall Space Flight Center. She reported seeing a biological UFO right here in Huntsville.
Wow. So yeah, well, that also is in this double-blind target that we have here. Let me see here. Another one. Well, it's telling you a biological subject, a group in a circle, a crowd with a group in a circle. Purple, yellow. One woman inside the circle, human. She had a determination, and maybe it was the Kamala Harris. When she writes it in green like that, she's taking a guess, like an extrapolation. Dark ovalish room, hard stone-like walls, underground, natural, fizzing out energy power waning. So the E-temp shows hot and cold over time. So whatever was happening at the time of the
Now, what does
viewing,
E-temp mean?
you know, currently you and I are sitting, we're having a nice calm conversation. Our E-temp is low. You know what I mean? But if we were having a heated conversation, like, I'm telling you, it was this, and we were, the temperature would be raised. The E-temp would be much higher.
Okay.
So that's what that is. So it
All right.
started out hot and cools down. And I believe it did in the other ones as well. Yeah, right here. So E-temp was warmer, and then he sees it getting hot in the future in 2026, off the charts. E20, his E-temp prediction for the future was that it goes off the charts, and he had a spaceport. Let me get back here. Male biological, female biological. They're sitting around a desk like this, and they have, this was in the past, ancient writing, a scroll, a book. So pretty interesting stuff. An eruption. So, and like I said, many times in the past we've seen volcanoes, and they've had a power source or a fire on top, and it's a hill, and so it just gets interpreted as a volcano. But the cave-like enclosed structure, dark underground. I mean, this replayed itself in every viewing. And so, when you ask me if the question was, is there something under these coordinates? And so I'd have to be 100% yes. I think it was on literally all of the viewings that I got. Female, dark hair, tan skin, travels, time travelers.
Now, what about the love intention? What does that mean by that? Love. It says right
Integrity
there.
index.
Love intention integrity index group -10. What does that
Negative
mean?
10. So not great. Group intention index -10. So these are people that are not scrupulous. Which would be consistent with a military base.
Time travelers, energy manipulators, astral body travelers, plasmic-like energy emitted from group members and traveling upward.
So that would be indicative of a portal or an energetic thing. I wouldn't take this as verbatim and say, well, definitely they're time traveling. But you're getting the feeling like if there's a portal technology there, these kind of hits would come through. So I look for the things that are all over. So a group of people, they were in a group or a meeting. It was intense. The E-temp was hot and cooled down. We had a female in two of them. Underground, there's a male, a female, biological, cloth-like material. We had off-world atmosphere, a flying object outside of the sphere of Earth. There's our cave. So, I mean, I'm not doing this on the fly right now.
Yeah.
I'll stop the share. But if I were going to really go through that data, I'd write down the things that are in common, that are unlikely, and establish a number for those. And then the things that were not uncommon, that are unlikely, and kind of discard, take away the highs and lows and see where I'm at with that. There's a lot of ways to do analytics when you look at this, but the simplicity of the target was, is there something here? You know, boom, here's this place. Is there something underground here? And it was in every viewing. And again, as far as the viewers are concerned, it could be anything. It could be a baseball game. It could be
Yeah, they don't have any idea. That's
yeah. They have no idea what it is, and they all had the same theme. You see this, just the odds of that happening are slim. Just the odds of them all having a UFO and, you know, a cave with people in a
two
cave.
of them had the woman that was in charge. Yeah.
Yeah, right. The odds of that are not likely at all. Very slim.
Man, that's interesting. Let me ask you this: you've written about your Ceres Colony stuff and everything else. Do you remember anything about your 20 and back where you had to deal with with portals or Stargates?
Yeah, all the time. Well, that's how we got around.
So
the
what
ship
is that?
create its own.
What is that like? What are you seeing? If there's a portal underground or a Stargate underground there, what does that look like? What it look like for you?
Well, the one that I wrote about in my book, in the chapter called Chicago, they took us to a room, and there were guys that were technicians that were working there that were not part of the Ceres Colony Corporation, and it was a room on the moon, lower, deeper into the moon than the bases on the surface. It was kind of down inside the moon farther. The farther you go, the higher the security clearance. It was a giant slab of either of a black stone like moldavite or one of those stones, and the room kind of was all made out of stone, and it had a circular room with the technicians in a circle, and like a flat screen, a flat table of a computer that was circular around them. So a big circle table, and that was the computer, and it had holographic stuff, but basically like a Surface PC. And when it was time to go, there was a steps that led into the next room that went up like a stage. And when it was time for us to go, they hit a button and the wall became transparent, so they could see in that room up on the stage where that slab of black stone was. They walked us up there. We had to stand behind a line, and there was they said that it was unique to the moon because they needed a base with that kind of power output, that it was a high power output for this particular form of transport. And it was a ball. It was a ball shaped. It looked like a green, glowy, like a transparent green ball. And they said you have to walk into it and walk the same speed. Don't slow down. Make sure you walk and just take one speed and walk straight into it. And as I walked towards it, it was a green ball of light. As I got close, I could see the room where I was going. I ended up in a stairwell in Chicago, in a building in Chicago, and I could see the doorknob of the stairwell, like the staircase, and then on the left was a doorknob, and in the circle I could see the doorknob, and then there was a poof, and I was disoriented and sick to my stomach. You feel dizzy, like ears ringing, and sick to your stomach for a while, for a few minutes, and you have to drink water immediately. And they had water waiting there for us, so we grabbed a bottle of water and grabbed it. But that was an immediate portal. And at the end of that mission, they told us to face the moon, and we saw the same thing: a glowing sphere appear, and we walked right into it and went back to that room where we were.
Now, how big is it?
Like a beach ball sized, not very big, like a good sized beach ball, floating in the air 3 feet off the ground. That's what it looked like.
And it's
It looked like
just
you couldn't walk into it, but you did. As you got close to it, space time. It was like it curved, like you went into it.
so let me ask you this. Would if the base was underneath Green Mountain, would they even need to have a direct path to fly down into it, or could they just use the portal? Like they don't even have to go through the lake, say, or any of
Well,
that.
the ship I was on had made its own portals, and according to the power output of the ship is how far the portal could go. So the it would take us 3 or 4 shots to get across the galaxy. So in other words, the ship had enough power to make a portal that it could go about a third of the distance or a fourth of the distance
Uh-huh.
across the galaxy, and then it had to wait and recharge to make another one. And it was instantaneous. And it was the same thing. You got sick, you got nauseous, slightly nauseous. You got used to it over time.
So it had to
Um,
do the jumps in stages in order to recharge.
yes, and
Man,
it
that's
took a while to
fascinating.
recharge.
I got to get a hold of that
The
book.
military ships could go farther and immediate. So they had several engines on the ship. So the ship would have 2 or 3 jump engines so that it could jump and immediately jump and jump, and they could go farther as well. They had higher power output on the
Yeah.
on the battleships. So they could jump in and they could immediately jump out if they wanted to. Where we were on a cargo ship, we were on a trade ship. So we had to wait 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes where we could jump again.
Any idea
Bridge, they
how
call it
it's
bridge.
recharging?
The engine, the power systems were leased from ET species.
Uh-huh.
So free energy is real and easy to do. But free energy that can generate a petawatt in 20 minutes is a different story. So free energy to charge your cell phone is not the same as free energy to create a wormhole in space-time. And so the ships that were high powered were the power engine, the generator on the ship was high tech. Like they didn't know how to build it, but they leased it for their ships from other species.
Oh man, that's so interesting. Anyway, guys, get that book, Mars Ceres Colony, right? I'm gonna.
Ceres Colony Cavalier. You can find it on my website, TonyRodrigues.com.
Oh, I'm sorry, I said Mars. I don't know why I keep wanting to. I think it's because it's a red book, right? Maybe that's why I
Yeah,
think
well, you
Mars.
got to read it. No, it's the Ceres Colony. Ceres is in between Mars and the asteroid belt. Most people are not aware that the dwarf planet Ceres exists in our solar system, but it is.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pick that up and read that, everybody. I'm sorry I haven't yet. It seems like it's research I should have done. Read the entire book.
I
It's
didn't think it was going to
money's
do it.
tight, right? Like the economy's so bad.
I didn't think it was going to do what it did when it came out. I thought of the people that were watching my show. I had a few hundred subscribers on my Patreon. I thought those people and some people on Facebook would buy it and that'd be fine. And thousands of people have bought the book and read it. And I've heard stories that in certain areas of the military that it's required reading. That I've heard people tell me that on the inside that my book is on a desk at the Pentagon. My book is on an admiral's desk at aircraft carriers and ships at sea, that it's required reading among certain circles in the military. And I was like, wow, I didn't know. I never expected it to be like that. But there aren't a lot of books like it, put it that way. There aren't enough
Yeah,
books.
I'm definitely gonna grab one. I'm gonna grab one tonight, and I'm gonna read it while I'm nesting over the holidays here, because that's what we like to do over the winter is nest. So I can get some reading in. And let me ask you this: we have a few minutes left, because I'm gonna try to keep our shows around an hour long now that we're not doing listener questions. So, um, your recall, are you still having recall moments where you're recalling new things, or you think you've got it all?
No, it's a lifelong thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're always recalling things, and it sucks. Like sometimes, I mean, I don't want to say that. I don't mean this when I say it, but sometimes I wish it would stop. Um, like I have my life going the way it is, and there was a time when it was healing. It was in the natural process of healing, remembering the trauma from it all. And I don't want to say I've got over all of it. I certainly haven't, but my life, I'm in a good spot right now. And I'm not angry about what happened to me or um, puzzled by it at all. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
getting the book out and doing what I've done so far in the last 9 years since I got my memories back has really been fulfilling in many ways. I got to say that it really has. And I paid a price too. I lost my marriage over it. I lost a lot. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
but
You know,
it's
I
the
actually figured out a
mission
way
we're on.
to enhance because I feel like I've done a 20 and back as well. And I've actually been having it's about like once a week, I guess I get the recalls. And I've been waking up in the morning, writing them down in the journal. I'm even drawing little sketches of things, what things look like before I forget like what they look like. And
I'm gonna have to interview you.
yeah, well, I've tried downloading your recall course and it wouldn't let me. I think I messaged you about that. Can you give everybody an update as far as what's going
So
on with that?
yeah, I've been on the road. I did the last month
Yeah.
on the road. The recall course was hosted on my editor's website with a bunch of other teachable stuff on that, and they raised the price, not double, but like 10 times the price for hosting it. So we pulled it down, and a lot of the course got lost in that process. And so I have the bare bones of it, but I'm in the middle of a redesign. I'm in the middle of building a nutrition course, a remote viewing course, and I'm going to revamp the memory course and offer it all through my Patreon as individual products, as well as audio products. They're actually really, really good stuff. But the memory course is getting a revamp, and it'll be hosted on Patreon rather than it was on Teachable, I think, before.
Yeah,
So it
yeah.
was a hosting issue. We were hoping to just pull it down and take the raw data and put it right back on and
And then
have
you
it
lost
listed
some of
available.
it.
Because
Yeah.
I not only you, I mean, I've had probably 20 people ask, "Where's I want your memory course?
Yeah.
Where's it at?" And it's been a while now. It's been a couple months.
L-
But it's going to be a little bit more before I revamp it and get it up there.
Let me run
It's
this by
something
you
that's
because
necessary.
I I'm gonna run this by you because there's something that I've discovered really helps with recall on this. And I'm gonna just hit you with it and tell everybody, try sleeping with a nicotine patch on.
Oh, wow.
You will have you will have very intense recall.
So doesn't the
It's
nicotine
and it
patch deal
lasts
with
forever.
proteins? The
I'm
nicotine
sorry.
patch dissipates spike proteins, right? From the vaccines.
Oh, well, yeah. We I mean,
I'm trying not to get you in
I
trouble.
have
Sorry.
heard that, yeah, but I didn't get that, so that's not what it is, but there's something about the nicotine, receptors being on and receiving nicotine while you're in a dreamlike state. I've actually researched it that enhances, uh your dreams. It enhances your sleeping reality. It's very interesting. If you haven't done it, I would recommend doing it and
Wow.
experimenting with it, and you will have some very vivid recalls. And I've literally been having a recall, and I'd get up, use the bathroom, go back to sleep, and I can immediately pick up where I left off in that recall. It's fascinating, and I've been doing it with
Oh, that is
nicotine
powerful.
patches, and you know, I don't know what the science is there. I'm not a scientist, but I have noticed that that has helped greatly with recall. So, Tony, I guess any other advice you can give me as far as enhancing recall, like before we end the
Um,
show?
well, thinking about remember, if you were if and I always say that I always want to stress the if, right? So many people out there are going to somebody for a reading and they're telling them this big elaborate story that they were a secret space program super soldier, and they have people come to me with like, see, I got a remote viewing and it was this, and I'm like, that's not a remote viewing. You're getting somebody wrote an essay and told you a bunch of memories that you don't have, and people are running with it, and it's a real disservice to the whole genre. Um, I just wanted to say that first. That being said, people that are involved, you must be conscious that they give you industrial strength hypnosis as parting gifts. Jason Rice called them parting gifts. So when you begin to recall things, you'll get hungry or sleepy, horny, and be distracted and go, what was I thinking, and go out again? And these are hip industrial strength hypnosis that they give to the people, the assets, when they put them back, so that you'll keep forgetting. So that you won't have the recall. And when you actually start to get a good memory, you go, man, I remember it. What happened next? And the memory starts to come. It's kind of like a splinter working its way out. And then these parting gifts happen. And some people, you have to be dangerous. Some people can become suicidal. So some of the parting gifts, depending on the level of security, can instill a sense of desire for suicide. So on top of being hungry, horny, sleepy, distracted, when you start getting the memory back, you go, I need to get up and get something to eat, or I'm just sleepy. A lot of people have reported reading my book. I had a guy one time, he said, Toni, I can't read your book. He wrote me an email. He said, I can't read your book, and it bothers me. And I said, I go, no, a lot of people said, I was joking. I get it. My book is like way not vanilla. It's rated R as can be. It's very traumatic. It's very shocking. And he goes, no, you don't understand. I read a book a day or every other day. He said, I read thousands of books. This is what I do. I read. And I can't read 2 pages of your book without going to sleep. Why? And I said, well, unfortunately, that's a symptom of people that were in the program and they're discovering the information. And so this post-hypnotic suggestion shuts them down. So that is something to be taken into account when you're doing when you're working on it the way you are. Like you said, you're writing it down. I would guess that you can't keep it up for a long time, right? You can't keep working on it for a very long time, or you get sleepy or something happens.
Yeah. Well, I think that I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think that there's a trigger of some kind that once you start recall, you go into it. It's like a trigger or something that puts you even into a depression.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
I mean, it's hard to explain. Like you literally, as you start to remember things, like your immediate thoughts are, I got to hurry up and kill myself.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
So,
it's weird.
So here's my tip with that, is because I was running across, in the beginning, I had a major influx. I had years and years and years, big chunks of memory that came, and I wanted to remember more. And, I thought there's got to be more to this. I had, what did I eat? Right. What did I have? What did I eat? How did I brush my teeth? I had to remember these things. And I was getting that same thing, the depression and the sleepiness. What I found is that the blocks work best later in the day. So first thing in the morning, I'd get my coffee and I would sit down and I would give it 5 or 10 minutes of recalling and writing down until I felt the blocks come in. First thing in the morning, we get sleepy again. That's counterintuitive, and it's kind of not par for the course. So if you have a block that makes you go to sleep when you're remembering things, if you do it first thing in the morning, I was telling myself, hey, I just slept all night. I don't need to go to sleep. And then I would put it away, put it down. So the other thing is, some people get on a tear and they remember something and they say, I want it all now, today. I want all of it right now.
Yeah.
And my thing is to pace yourself. Just give it 5 or 10 minutes in the morning, every morning. And then here's the other thing is, it's a muscle reaction. When you're trying to remember more, like, oh, what was the name of that place? Oh, I can't. It's almost on the tip of my tongue. That muscle you're using, it's your brain. It's long-term memory. Works best if you quit using it. So you stress the muscle, you can't remember, and then you let go for the rest of the day. And then later on at noon, you go, what was that place? And purposely say, nope, I'll get back to it tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Because that whole time your subconscious is working. I might have told you this before, last time I was here, but that's really what works. So the action of stressing to remember and then actively not trying to remember. And then all of a sudden it comes to you, go, oh, I remember that place now. It was called the blah, blah, blah. Like the memory just comes, it works its way out.
Yeah,
So
it'll
the
come in
more you
waves
force
too.
it, the harder it is.
And it comes in
What's that?
waves too. It's like you'll get it for like 2 or 3 days in a row, and then it'll stop for like a week. And then it'll start again. Like,
so when you think about it like this: if you have a stereo system that can only handle so much wattage in the electronics of the stereo, right? You plug it into the wall, it's a 110, it's got so many voltage that the stereo, and then all of a sudden there's a surge that comes down the wall and the stereo's hot, you got to let it cool down. Your mind is the same way. So when you're getting these downloads, when you're doing this, you're not wired to remember all that at once. So you need to give yourself time to cool down and heal from. You get what I mean? Like when you
Yeah.
get these, I hate calling it the word download, because really you're
No,
remembering.
that's what they are. Yeah.
When you get these memories, the power, your brain is wired to think about so many things at once, and all of a sudden you're thinking about 20 times more than that, and so you're overloaded. And it's very important to get it out on paper and then give yourself time to recover, because that's exactly why it's coming for a couple days at a time and then stopping, is because it's stressing out the system, the electrical system that you're made out of.
Yeah. And it
And
makes
I
me
remember
wonder,
going through that.
like you said about how they do a industrial grade hypnosis, getting you to forget all this stuff before putting you back. You got to wonder if they put in some kind of fail safe to whereas if you do start to remember, like you're immediately tripped to, well, now you have to do this, now you have to do that,
So,
to get rid of you to where you're not doing that anymore.
so the other thing I found out was that over time, so it's imagine the effectiveness of the block. Let's just say, for instance, that every time you think of something that can jog your memory of service in a 20 and back, you get incredibly hungry. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say, just for an instant, we're being an example. So you think about something, you think about, oh, Mars, someone told me there's a base on that they remember. Oh, wow, that's weird. I kind of vaguely remember, oh, man, I'm hungry. And then you go and make a meal and you forget what you're talking about. Right. But if you're conscious of it, the next time you go, I know I'm going to get hungry. First thing in the morning, you have your coffee, you're well rested, your mind is alert, and you go, okay, now I want to remember that place on Mars. I remember a door. And they go, oh, here it is. I'm getting hungry. And you're aware of it consciously and you fight it. So instead of going, well, I'm going to go get something, you fight it a few minutes and you say, I'm not going to eat right now. I need to think about this. Over time, if you do that every day, at the end of a couple of weeks, you'll be hardly hungry. The block dissipates.
Yeah.
Your strength of overcoming the block grows. And then conversely, so if you do that for a couple of weeks and you don't get hungry anymore when you're thinking about it, if you wait a year or 6 months and then go back, you'll get hungry again. The block will return.
All right.
So does that all make sense? I feel
Yeah.
like I'm not explaining it great.
No, you got it. Yeah. I mean, I hear you. But and that could be, that's just a metaphor, say, it's not always, you're going to be hungry. It could be anything.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's something distracting. It's something it's something tied to your lower function brain, your reptile brain, that, like I said, that has to do with food, shelter, fear, sex, sleep, rest.
But it's
tied to
almost
that
like
part of the brain.
it's a defense mechanism, like it's purposely trying to distract you, regardless of what
That's
it
right.
is that you're being hit with. Yeah, it's purposely distracting
Absolutely right.
you.
Yep.
All right, Tony, man, this is fascinating stuff. We're gonna reach out to you and get you back on after the holidays.
Right on, man. I'm looking forward to it. Working on my 4th book. I'm home. I got 4 months, I think, 4 or 5 months before I got to travel anywhere. And I've got a slew of stuff lined up. I'm going to knock them all down and I'll let you guys know. I'll let all you guys know when they come out. Keep an eye on me on TonyRodrigues.com. And check out in a month or two, I'll have a lot of data, a lot of stuff available on the Remote Viewing Collective, my new YouTube channel that's dedicated to remote viewing and how to do it. And
Yeah,
what
the
goes
links
on
will
in the
be
world.
down in the description box below. Everybody, get down there and subscribe to that channel. I really hope you do a virtual reality remote viewing, maybe on what we discussed earlier, the Green Mountain thing. That'd be
We'll see. We'll take
fascinating
a
to see.
peek.
That'd be
We got a
fascinating to
list
see.
of targets. We got some really good targets lined up. People approach me with great targets all the time, and some of them I get. Even my remote viewers don't know. Some of them are very world class, really, really mind blowing, really relevant targets that we've been doing. And anyhow, we're researching all that stuff, and my goal is to be transparent throughout the process. I get accused of working with financial stuff and like trying to remote view like things to put money on to earn money, and people think that I'm doing it behind the double dealing, like I'm doing it to other groups, and I'm not. I'm completely transparent. It's not about earning money. It's about learning to remote view everything. And that's where I'm at. And I've been completely transparent with everybody all along. And I will continue to do so. And that's why the Remote Viewing Collective show is created. So I think more people need to know the properly what remote viewing looks like and how it works. And so we are going to do a ton of the virtual reality ones. And in fact, you inspired me, man. I think I'll try to queue one up tomorrow or the next day.
Awesome, man. Toni Rodrigues, ToniRodrigues.com, everybody. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment on it, do all the things that you need to do to help us with the algorithm. Until next time, everybody, we will be back with Brad Olson and Elena Danaan. We're going to talk about Antarctica's black goo on the next episode, so make sure you turn into that. Until next time, everybody, batten down the hatches and be safe.